Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm going to be discussing the Delphi case again today. For obvious reasons, there's been a ton of new developments. I've linked to other creators in the description of this video that go over this case and some of the more recent information in much more depth. I highly recommend checking them out. There's going to be a lot to unpack here, so I guess the best place to start is with this.
With this Keegan Anthony, um, Kline, Keegan Anthony Kline, alias Anthony Shots, this guy portrays himself as a model on the internet and, really catfished a lot of young girls. It's amazing to me how he got all these young girls. I think there's a count of 15, but I'm not hanging my hat on that. I think there's approximately 100 pictures, maybe over 100 pictures. Uh, how this guy got these girls to send him these photos, I have to believe that not only was he coming across as this model with a lot of money, that he was a celebrity, that he had all these hot cars. He's this really built, good-looking young man. So he's coming across as this Anthony Shots, who he's made up. Okay, I mean the model is real, but he has made up, this fake profile that he's been putting out there.
This is Keegan Anthony Kline, a man who is facing charges for possessing child pornography and who is accused of being the man behind the catfishing account, Anthony Shots, which is being looked into by Indiana State Police regarding the Delphi case. But who is Keegan Kline? And to be honest, there's not really a ton out there about him, but there is some, and here's a brief overview. Keegan was apparently interviewed early on regarding the case.
We likely have interviewed you, or someone close to you.
It appears that Keegan may have even attempted to establish what on the surface looks like a fake alibi for the day of the murders that was backed up possibly by a family member.
We are confident that you have told someone what you have done.
Keegan looks very different than he did at the time the murders actually took place.
Or at the very least, they know, because of how different you are since the murders.
Numerous people online have said that Keegan loved to try to present himself as rich and powerful with the hopes of attracting young girls.
We know that this is about power to you.
Tell us a little bit about how you know this individual here.
I actually went to school with him. We were friends from probably like 5th grade till 7th grade, super close. He would stay at my house many days of the week and weekend during the summers. At that point in time, I would consider him almost like a brother. Not so much anymore, or as we got older.
Did you guys still have contact with each other?
Yeah, here and there, he would message me and ask me how life was, tell me he missed me. Eventually, his comments would get more towards like a sexual thing, and I would, delete or block him, and he would make a different profile or a fake profile and try to continue talking in that sexual manner.
So he created a whole new profile.
Yes. So this is something he's done for a long time.
Wow. So they interviewed you last year on this.
Yes.
And what did they, out of the interview, they were asking about his social media profiles, right? That's primarily what they wanted to know.
Yes, they had asked, first they'd asked how I knew him, connections. They'd asked about my family and how close we were. They'd asked what kind of vehicles he's had, if he'd ever been to Nevada. Just everything that he posted online as this lavish life that was obviously fake. They asked about all of those things.
And did you have any information for him regarding any of that?
Not factual information. I did have, the thought that most of it was fake because even in elementary school and high school, he would come up with the most bogus stories he could think of. Like at one point, he was on tour with his band while playing Xbox and a tour bus, which obviously is not all that possible.
Yeah, that's very interesting, really. Have you ever heard the name Anthony Shots before, or is there any significance to that you would know of? I know Anthony's his middle name.
Yeah, that's the only significance I could think of. And then as I looked at the profile, I noticed the Lamborghinis and the money, and those are all the things that he had always posted that he owned, that, he had. So it kind of rang the bell to me that it was him, but I didn't, really know for sure.
Here is a photo of Keegan complaining about the small armrest on his plane. Now remember, this is a photo about the armrest, not the Rolex. This is Keegan asking what time it is. Again, this photo is only meant to document the time, not his Rolex. This is, well, alright, we get it. Keegan wants us to know that he has a Rolex by posting photos of him wearing a fake Rolex and, well, you know what they say about people who flaunt their Rolexes.
Gotta flex, flex, flex. Because when you've got no personality, replace it with a Rolex.
Much like replacing his personality with a Rolex, Keegan has also been accused of replacing the way he looks with images of a model. Because when he was sending messages like this to girls online looking like Keegan, I guess it just didn't work out for him. Apparently, he was really well known online for soliciting inappropriate photos from girls, making them feel super uncomfortable, and when they eventually blocked him, he would make fake accounts to get them to talk to him again. And if all of this is true, he is without a doubt a level 5 red alert creeper.
Now, I looked at that and I thought to myself, this guy really has a lot of time on his hands and is really obsessed with young girls. He has to be obsessed with young girls to go to all this work, to put this together, to come up with this completely fictitious person, okay, Anthony Shots, and then to start to try to market these girls and get these girls to send over pictures of themselves in the nude.
But being a deluded creeper pedo isn't enough to say that he's a killer. I mean, it looks horrible, but there are some things that people online have noticed. Take a look at this. This is a court document related to Keegan's arrest, which seems to show that he was file sharing some of the illegal photos that he had with another person via a Dropbox. I don't want to go to conspiracy theory here. Every single time that more than one suspect being involved was suggested, I immediately became incredibly skeptical, but it does seem like it's possible that the Anthony Shots account was responsible for luring the girls to the bridge, and maybe someone else met them, and that the Young sketch was actually depicting the model used to catfish the girls, just like it was suggested earlier this year in the supposed leaks. I mean, it's crazy, but it might explain statements like this.
I just unveiled the person that we believe responsible for the murder of these two little girls.
If it's possible that someone else was involved, police could potentially be pressuring Keegan to give up the person that he had meet the girls that day, which could also explain a statement like this.
To the murderer, I believe you have just a little bit of a conscience left.
I've always felt like the words, "this is the person responsible," was an odd choice of wording.
leads us to believe the sketch, which you will see shortly, is the person responsible for the murders of these two little girls.
And when you consider the whole file sharing thing, it does seem really odd. And speaking of law enforcement using odd wording, one of the very first videos that I did was about DNA and just how oddly law enforcement worded things when they discussed it. In the video that I made, I started suggesting that maybe it was cross-transfer DNA, like, DNA that could be explained away by innocent means, or maybe hair from someone else that lived in the killer's home. But apparently, recently, Keegan's home was raided and law enforcement removed the dog from the home. Knowing that, consider this statement.
I know that we have the human element, we have a very solid science element. We're using every capable process that we have from a scientific perspective, as everyone would expect us to, and we will continue to do that until there's nothing left to do.
Would that include DNA?
It does.
Was DNA found at the scene?
It includes DNA.
So, if more than one person was involved, that does seem to be challenged by the idea that the dog might potentially have some connection to this case or a DNA tie, unless that other person had actually been in Keegan's home at some point. But that's all assuming that the dog being taken is even related. In the end, there are good arguments that are being made by numerous people here online, and I just feel like it's too difficult to really know exactly what law enforcement has up their sleeves, but that's the good news. I think most of us can agree that it feels like law enforcement does have something up their sleeves here. It just, something feels different about all of this, and here soon, I think all of us might get to have the answers we've been looking for. But most importantly, I think one person in particular finally might get those answers in the worst way possible.
And you want to know what we know. And one day, you will.
And with that being said, thank you so much for watching.